She took my $50,000 and lost her house. Brunch is where my family does moral accounting with syrup. Family emergency, my mother said, sliding loan papers over a sticky menu. My dad added, "You've always been the responsible one," as if that were a blessing and not a trap. The number on top, 50,000. The garnish, my sister's house, quietly pledged as collateral, pay now or she loses everything, and if I don't, I'm the villain. I read fast, signed faster, and made sure the paper trail could sing in court. Lien assignment to me. Dates. Consequences. 48 hours later, she posted first-class boarding passes to Bali. Family roles in the ask. Let me set the table. I'm the older sister with CFO energy and a spreadsheet for every emotion. My calendar has color codes for joy, dread, and don't answer that call. My sister? The golden child with a ring light, an affiliate link, and a crossbody bag of main character syndrome. My parents? Well-meaning chaos wearing matching blessed hoodies. Our family group chat is a political theater, diplomacy by emoji, alliances formed and broken over potluck assignments, an unspoken scoreboard of favors nobody wrote down and everybody remembers. The inciting incident arrived with my sister's ringtone, a cheerful little trill that should be labeled incoming storm. "I'm drowning," she said. No hello, just a gurgle. Please. I messed up, but I have momentum. One big push. Momentum felt like code for Cliff. Before I could ask what, my phone chimed again, parental summons. Brunch? Important. Weaponized pancakes. I went because I'm the one who goes. At the table, Mom led with the story about how I once helped my sister with a science fair volcano, like lava equaled loyalty. Dad nodded toward the papers like a magician revealing a rabbit he also expected me to feed. "It's not that much," he said, as if 50,000 was a seasonal allergy. "She just needs a bridge." Bridges go over something. I wanted to know what chasm we were spanning. I asked for documents. Promissory note, collateral disclosure, repayment schedule. Mom blinked. Dad shuffled. "Do you have to make it so transactional?" "Yes. If money is involved, it's already transactional. I just prefer the version with receipts." I read the note. There it was, the house listed as collateral, tucked into the fine print like a rattlesnake in confetti. My stomach did that accountant flip. 2 parts dread, 1 part relief at finding the snake before it bit. I love my sister. I do not trust her. Those two truths sat across from each other, clinking glasses. I looked at my parents, who were ready to cry, and at my phone, waiting to light up with another crisis, and I made the decision I always make. I will help, but we will do this the right way. I told them I'd pay off the lender in full and take assignment of the lien. New promissory note to me, clear repayment terms, interest that says this is real. Default triggers that aren't hollow. Oh, triggers that aren't hollow. Oh, triggers that aren't hollow. Oh, 30. Mom looked wounded, like I'd asked her to wear sensible shoes. Dad muttered, "She'll pay you back." The optimism of a man who thinks Wi-Fi is a feeling. We called the original lender together on speaker. I confirmed the balance, the per diem interest, the procedure for an assignment. The voice on the other end perked up at the phrase, "wire today." Funny how quickly the world moves when money appears. I drafted my note. Dates bolded. Interest in 11-point font, because big girl numbers deserve tiny letters. A clause about fees. A clause about default. A clause about the house. My sister signed via e-sign with a heart in her signature. Of course she did. I sent the wire. Watching that number leave my account felt like donating a kidney to someone who thought apple juice cures surgery. Still, I breathed. Crisis contained, right? I imagined a quiet compliance. No new spending, no dramatic posts, just steady payments like a metronome. Then my phone began to vibrate like a wasp in a glass. Notification pings stacked into a tower of bad decisions. On her story, so grateful to announce my brand partnership Bali retreat. A boomerang of clinking coconuts. A geotag that translated to expensive view. First-class boarding passes, 2 names, hers and a photographer I recognized from the collab she did with a dog bakery. The caption, investing in my personal brand. You guys deserve the best. I felt my left eyelid twitch into a Morse code that spelled absolutely not. I texted, "Where did the funds go?" 3 dots, then a voice note. "Babe, this is the play. Network, content. Roy." I'm her sister, not a venture capitalist. I called. She answered from an airport lounge, audibly more leather than my living room. "You're my supportive investor," she chirped. My blood pressure filed a complaint. I told her clearly, calmly, that the note stands as written. Payments due on the 1st. Interest accrues. No additional funds. She promised the content would convert. I promised the calendar would, too. Mom called to say it's networking. Dad added exposure. I said, to what? Debts? They sounded so earnest, I wanted to hug them and change my number. Instead, I opened a new folder on my desktop, Sister Bali. Subfolders, receipts, communications, social posts, terms. Then I started building a file the way some people build ships in bottles. Delicate, fussy, and oddly soothing. If this was going to be a story, it would have chapters, citations, and footnotes. That was the day I remembered the family scoreboard isn't moral, it's math. And math, unlike people, doesn't negotiate with vibes. The immediate betrayal, Bali bomb. 2 days after The Wire, she posted a boarding pass like it cured cancer. Bali baby, first class, champagne flute, a filter labeled Wanderlust Pro that looked like an allergy to reality. I'm refreshing my banking app. She's refreshing her lip gloss. IDM, confirm the debt was paid. She hearts it, sends a sun emoji, then a screenshot of an itinerary, first-class seats, villa with an infinity pool longer than my patience, a line item called Creative Director, which is code for a photographer who only shoots at golden hour and invoices at midnight. I called her. She answered over the hiss of espresso and ambient envy. "You're going to love this," she sang. "This is my personal brand investment. I'm elevating." Elevating what? Her debt ceiling? "Did you pay the lender?" I asked. Pause. "So, funny thing," she said, which is never followed by a funny thing. "The Bali retreat was time sensitive. If I miss it, I miss my window." I stared at the receipts like they were a Rorschach test that spelled fraud. "Used my funds for a vacation," I said. "It's not a vacation, it's content," she said, which is exactly what vacation looks like when you don't pack a conscience. I hung up before my tone got spicy enough to require a Notes app apology. Then Mom called. "It's networking," she said, earnest as a church bake sale. "Exposure," Dad chimed in, as if exposure pays interest. Mom added, like she'd learned a new word and wanted to take it for a walk. "With whose money?" I asked. Silence, then Mom soft, "She'll pay you back." I could hear them clutching hope like a coupon that expired in 2009. Fine. I pivoted to systems. I screenshotted everything, boarding passes, villa tags, captions with grind misspelled. I saved her voice notes where she called me her supportive investor. I emailed her a friendly reminder of the repayment dates, bulleted civil with a line that said no further advances will be made. I dropped in a calendar invite titled Payment 1, complete with a confetti emoji because I'm a professional with a sense of humor. Then I built out the folder: contracts, social evidence, communications, travel expenses. It calmed me the way puzzles calm people who don't have a sister. The receipts started rolling like waves you can't outswim. A photographer retainer, half up front, half on delivery, which apparently meant whenever he felt like it. A villa prepay that could fund a small library. Sunrise drone permit, because influencers need paperwork to harass the sky. I color-coded personal versus business expenses. Personal included spiritual Wi-Fi, $900 to ensure the universe hears your upload. Business included coconut water listed as hydration strategy, which is a bold way to say juice. I called her again because I believe in documentation and second chances. Boundaries, I said. No additional funds. Payments stand. I'm tracking everything. She said, "I knew you'd understand," which is sister for "I'm not listening." Content converts, she chirped. "So do contracts," I replied. I hung up and wrote a memo to file about the conversation. Yes, I memo my family now. Therapy was right. We train people how to treat us. I started training myself. Parents kept parroting the deck. She needs this to get ahead, Mom said. Getting ahead of what? I asked. Reality? Dad tried. In her field, image is everything. In mine, I said, numbers are. I kept my voice soft. I'm not here to make them feel stupid. I'm here to not feel insane. Her stories from Bali were an accidental comedy special. So honored to be invited, she said, while tagging an event that accepts anyone with a pulse and a PayPal. The photographer did a behind the scenes where she told a cloud it was killing her vibe. The caption on her grid, grateful vibes only. My caption in my head, paid for by the vein in my forehead. I sent her a read receipt request with the loan terms attached again. She thumbs up the email like it was a meme. I logged the thumbs up. I logged everything. If she was going to turn my money into content, I was going to turn her content into evidence. She said ROI. I would deliver ROI, receipts of idiocy. Then came the sunrise shoot announcement, a 3:30 a.m. call time for unfiltered authenticity. She posted a prep list, silk dress, emergency ring light, gratitude journal. I added a line to my running notes, authenticity does not require silk. She promised her followers raw candids that would take only 15 minutes. The photographer replied in his story with, "We'll see," which is creative for, bring snacks. By day 3, her parents, our parents, were asking me to Venmo just a little for unexpected fees. I replied with a screenshot of the contract and a smiley face that could cut glass. In my head, I whispered to the universe, put everything in writing. Out loud, to my sister, I said one last time, no more money. Deadlines don't move. Interest doesn't blink. She sent me a selfie with a coconut and wrote, proud of us. I archived it under Delusions, subfolder teamwork. And as she hiked toward that cliff in the dark for her authentic sunrise, my spreadsheet filled with light. Not from Bali, from the glow of a paper trail sturdy enough to hold the weight of what was coming. Rising action, absurd receipts, and the paper trail. 3 hours after the sunrise tease, my inbox turned into a carnival. Subject line, urgent, drone flight extensions. Apparently the winds didn't respect content. The photographer attached a rate sheet with a line called Creative Flexibility Surcharge, which is a poetic way to say, bring cash. I filed it under vendor, photographer, questionable. Then the first masterpiece, a $900 charge labeled Spiritual Wi-Fi. I blinked. The memo read, ensures aligned connectivity for uploads. I forwarded it to myself with the subject, internet, but make it feelings, and tagged it personal, not business. My sister replied to my tag with 3 sparkles and abundance mindset, which does not convert to currency in any country. Next, a $1,200 coconut water license. The invoice logo was a coconut with sunglasses. The description said, permission to film and sip in designated refreshment zones. I wrote a note, hydration cannot be illegal. Also, who designated the zones? Poseidon? I emailed the vendor for clarification. They responded with a PDF titled Brand Hygiene, which included a paragraph about optics of premium electrolytes. I added a subfolder, Comedy. The villa sent a prepay update. The words non-refundable repeated like a chant. I color-coded it red because, are you kidding? Her creative director sent a retainer invoice with the line includes 5 maintenance. I circled it digitally and typed, not a real service. He responded with a palm tree emoji and an NDA I didn't sign. A local fixer emailed about sunrise drone permits. Price doubled because, quote, the sun is popular. I stared into the middle distance and remembered my parents once told me patience is a virtue. I prefer documentation. I called my sister again. Categorization matters, I said. Personal versus business. You cannot write off skincare as a production cost. She said, it's sunscreen. Here, for the crew. There are 2 of you, I said. Then it's bulk. I took a breath through my teeth and wrote, rejected. Meanwhile, my parents were wobbling like Bambi on ice. She needs this to get ahead, Mom said, rehearsed and brittle. With whose money? I asked, soft. Dad tried to compromise. Could you just float this round? It's only until the brand pays out. Which brand? I said. Silence, then Dad. The one with the coconuts? I told them I wasn't litigating via group chat. If they had documents, I had time. If they had vibes, I had chores. I started sending her polite reminders, pastel and deadly. Hi. Quick note that interest accrues daily. Please see the attached amortization schedule. I added a calendar invite with confetti and a caption, payday party. She heart reacted, then posted a story about delayed abundance due to Mercury. I screenshotted the heart, the story, and the planet. Vendor emails multiplied. The photographer wanted overtime for waiting on golden hour that never arrived. The villa wanted an additional deposit for content footprint on the tile, which is a new phrase my soul rejected. A sunset ceremony facilitator requested a rush fee because my sister DM'd at 2 a.m. asking for a vibe pivot. I made a new tag, emergency theater. She texted, "Don't stress, the ROI is already cooking." I replied with a PDF of the note, page 2 highlighted, payments due regardless of creative outcomes. She sent a selfie with a flower crown captioned, "My investor is so supportive." I emailed a cease and desist on the word investor and CC'd no one because the audience was my future sanity. Then the receipts got avant-garde. A $2,800 flower bath because the petals had to be ethically foraged, which I think means picked nicely. A $600 sound bath whose invoice literally described bowl-based clarity. An $1,100 rain insurance because the clouds looked threatening to storyline, which is meteorology by astrology. I called the bank and froze. Exposure to anything with the word bath, unless it included plumbing. The cultural authenticity fee hit next, paid to a guy named Kyle. I wrote, out loud at my desk, "Culture by Kyle." I asked for his business registration. He sent a JPEG of a wrist tattoo that said respect. I filed it under evidence. Farce. I kept the ledger obsessive and clean. Dates, amounts, vendor contacts, her captions cross-referenced with transactions. Green for paid by her. Yellow for pending. Read for absolutely not. I mapped the timeline against the loan terms like tracing paper over a crime scene. Every time she posted grateful, a new invoice arrived with fangs. Parents tried one more flank. "Sweetheart, she's under a lot of pressure," Mom whispered, like the debt might hear us. "I'm under a lot of math," I said. Dad suggested we pause interest for family. I suggested we read the contract for family. He sighed, the sound of a man who misses when disputes were about the aux cord. The sunrise shoot content finally went live. Her caption, unfiltered authenticity. I zoomed in and counted 3 ring lights in the reflection of her pupil. The comment section began to simmer. "Why is your candid tagged ad? How many takes does authenticity need? Who's paying for this?" I didn't answer. I just bookmarked every spicy comment and cross-filed it with the day's expenditures like a tax auditor with popcorn. I sent her another reminder, civil and sharp. Per Section 4, payments remain due on the 1st. No offsets for creative delays. She sent a voice note, "Babe, you're killing the vibe." I typed, "Vibes cannot cure principle." Then I added a final line to that email, "Please confirm receipt." She replied with a thumbs up emoji. I logged the emoji because I am who I am. And somewhere between the flower bath and the rain insurance, a feeling settled in. Not anger. Not yet. Just certainty. I wasn't the villain here. I was the ledger. And the ledger always balances eventually. Bali set piece number 1, the staged sunrise shoot. Call time 3:30 a.m. because authenticity apparently needs a head start. She posted a boomerang of headlamps and a caption that said, "Raw. Real. No filters." I could hear the ring lights charging. They took a van up a narrow road to a cliff everyone tags when they want to look like they do yoga for charity. The photographer's story showed a crew of exactly 2. Him and a drone he treats like a therapy hug. She arrived in a silk slip dress and hiking sandals, which is an outfit that answers the question, how would a gazelle handle gravel? The fixer, possibly Kyle's cousin in a different hat, handed her offerings to hold for the shot. She asked if they came in blush. The Sun, being a hostile collaborator, was scheduled for 6:03. At 5:58, clouds rolled in like a union. "Okay, so here's the vibe," she said, positioning herself on a rock that looked allergic to bare skin. I laugh like nobody's watching, then I look over my shoulder like somebody is, but it's just the horizon. The photographer nodded like he'd seen God and God was wearing bronzer. "Take one." She laughed, slipped, grabbed a palm frond, and swore. "Candids," he yelled. Again. Take 2 through 15 were identical except for the screaming at the sun. "You are late," she informed the celestial body. "We have a schedule." The sun, rude, hid behind an especially thick cloud and sent wind in its place. Her hair did interpretive dance. "Can we get a wind blocker?" she asked the ocean. The drone took off with the confidence of a tech bro and immediately met a palm tree with the confidence of gravity. It stuck. The photographer stared up like a farmer watching his cow learn to climb. "Over time," he muttered to his story. She told him to expense it. I whispered to my coffee, "To whom?" She insisted on candids, which in her dialect meant 47 identical takes with microscopic variations. This time laugh with more hum. The photographer said, "More what?" She made a sound that lived between a sigh and a goat. Take 26 achieved the precise shoulder blade angle she believes unlocks virality. The wind applauded by trying to yeet her hair into the ocean. A local dog wandered into frame and sat on her dress. She squealed like cutlery in a blender. "No, baby, this is silk." The dog blinked. The photographer whispered, "Honestly, the dog's the shot." She hissed, "Crop him," as if cropping a dog makes him less alive. She did an impromptu journaling moment, writing the words grateful, aligned, rising in careful block letters, then held the notebook up like a diploma. The page was blank behind the words because who needs sentences when you have an aesthetic? Golden hour, the diva failed to RSVP. The sky went from bruise to steel. She pivoted. "Okay, reverse psychology. If we act like we don't need the sun, it'll show." She announced louder to God or management, "Whatever, we can fix in post." The sun declined to be nagged. Fixer for cloud dispersion. He offered a rain poncho. She tried to cry for texture. No tears. She dabbed her eyes with saline from the beauty kit, then looked fiercely into the mist. "That's it," the photographer breathed. Raw. She replied, "Caption, rain can't stop a sunrise," which is not how weather works, but certainly how captions do. The overtime conversation got real. The photographer tapped his watch. She tapped her heart. "Think about the art," she said. "Think about the invoice," he said. They compromised by doing both. More art, more invoice. She ordered a gratitude scream into the cliffside. The wind returned it as a squeal. She posted it, tagged it unfiltered, then spent 12 minutes choosing the filter that looked least like death. At 7:19, a sliver of pale gold slid under the cloud line like a reluctant apology. She gasped. "There she is." She yelled at the horizon like it owed her money. They shot 15 more candids, then did a slow walk toward camera with the kind of purposeful sway you only see in fragrance ads in courtrooms. She tripped, recovered, called it charming, and insisted they keep it. Authenticity, she explained, requires a scripted stumble. Back at the villa, she posted the carousel. Slide 1, her laughing into mist. Slide 2, the journaling close-up with the 3 words. Slide 3, a drone shot that could only have been captured before the palm tree incident. The caption, "Grateful vibes only." Nothing staged. Just me and the sun, chasing dreams. I read it while labeling the session non-essential expense, sunrise, and adjusting my tone in the next email from gentle to gelid. The comments started to simmer. "Didn't you fly first class to be unfiltered? Why is your journal pre-written?" I can hear the drone. She replied to one with a heart and women supporting women, which is a great way to dodge math. I bookmarked the thread, filed the overtime request, and added a note. Clouds do not accept exposure as payment. When her next post teased collab drama, with storm clouds behind her like symbolism got bored, I felt the timeline click. The weather wasn't the only thing about to turn. Bali set piece number 2, petty influencer drama. The collab was supposed to be exclusive, which is influencer 4. We invited everyone with a discount code. She teased it with a story: private villa, handshake emoji, 2 queens, 1 vision. I recognized the rival creator immediately. Tara, queen of beige lattes and passive-aggressive affirmations. They hugged like hats wearing perfume. The guest list sold out at 12, then 16, then a few more for community. By the time they started, it looked like a tapas bar with ring lights. A brand rep stood in the corner, fielding DMs and regret. My sister gave a pep talk about authenticity while a makeup artist contoured her collarbone. Today we're talking collabs, she began, and how to lift each other up. Tara smiled, nodded, and immediately announced her own pop-up panel at the same time, at the same villa on the opposite patio. Overflow, she said. The overflow chose her. My sister blinked twice like a doorbell. Tara accidentally copy-pasted my sister's run of show into her own captions, then added, but better. Someone asked about rates. Tara said, I never discount. My sister chirped, I never say never, which is a discount in a dress. The brand rep swallowed a cough. The Q&A spiraled into a salon of invented terms. What's your engagement optimization ritual? Do you cleanse your grid? How do you protect your aura from low vibration comments? A girl with a bucket hat whispered, same filter, different pose. My sister overheard and launched into a sermon about originality. Tara posted a story mid-sermon with the caption, be yourself, over a clip of my sister being herself. Then came the pose off. My sister demonstrated the flamingo, one leg bent, chin at a 37-degree angle, eyes soft but ambitious. Tara countered with the power tulip, elbows in, face open, brandyable. My sister said, you copied that from my Santorini series. Tara widened her eyes. I've never even been to Santorini. The room split like a divorce where both parties keep the friends. The whispers got sharp. She shadow banned me. She used my hashtag. She stole my preset. Someone pulled out analytics like tarot cards. Your saves are down. Your watch time's fake. My sister said, it's the algorithm, and Tara smiled with all her teeth. It's the audience. In the corner, the photographer checked his phone and discovered a miracle.